all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is USComics Cast, HQ for all things comic book connected. We are John and Charlie Rivera, co-founders of USComics. Charlie, happy comic book day, kind of, on a Friday.
Happy Comic Book Day to Broadway, Johnny, and to everyone listening and watching.
I don't know where this kid comes up with this
There's
nonsense.
a reason we're delayed. For everyone listening and watching
Nonsense.
today, as always, we are brought to you on any day by Bad Mary Band and Sergeant Finesse Gaming. If you haven't done so already, please hit that comment section like anything he hits.
He destroys. Anything he hits, he destroys. I had a real toss-up between if he dies, he dies, or anything he hits, he destroys.
I think you chose...
I
chose wisely.
I think I took the non-obvious.
Yeah, you have the good chalice.
We will get to that.
You would
later.
drink from Jesus' cup when it came to that option.
Yeah, my face is fine.
It is. It really is moisturizing.
Thanks,
Working out nice.
Yeah.
Today we
are
are talking, of course, about the new Drago motion picture. We're gonna dive into if that's a good thing, a bad thing, or somewhere in between. We are going to tell you why the world needs a brand new, dirty, hairy movie. But first, John,
Charlie needs to get paid.
Charlie does need to get paid. John, let's start off with fucking a comic book podcast. Made it all the way to episode 3 of the brand new season. We haven't talked to comic book yet. I am on record that I am not a Marvel zombie. Rather, I am a DC psychopath. However, my pull list runneth over with great comics.
Literally.
And I still do that thing that maybe isn't the healthiest, where if something seems like it could be good because of the issue 1 like preview art, I tend to throw away sometimes $4 or $5 on it. However,
You'll take a flyer.
there is a list of people that if they do it, I'm in for 5. One of those people, one of my absolute favorite brothers, but this one from another mother, one of my favorite Daredevil writers of all time, left the book and has just been doing hit after hit since. Chip Zdarsky.
His own things, like big fucking banner stuff.
Fucking awesome. And
Chip can't miss.
Chip to me feels like a safe bet. I am not a super big fan of Avengers comics. I'm not a big fan of post-apocalyptic comics that
You were in.
Exactly right. Spoiler alert, because Avengers Twilight is here from our friends at Marvel Comics. And John, I'm all in to give...
Let's be honest, my friends, you just straight up said that you weren't a Marvel zombie.
That's true.
I am. I'm like,
give me those books.
Boing.
The 10-cent version is we're in the future of the Marvel Universe. Everything looks very Batman Beyond-y. There's lots of fucking neon, lots of hover cars.
It is very like there's only like there's a split in the road when comic book writers are trying to tell you what's gonna happen in effect tomorrow.
Yeah.
Either it's just like a total fucking Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome
Everything for some reason is sandy as shit.
or they're in the Jetsons.
Yes.
Like, what the hell's going on?
So we're in
man?
the Jetsons, but the twist is like maybe we're also in the desert.
Oh,
'Cause we're immediately greeted by a world that's familiar but still dissimilar.
Yeah.
Some of our absolute favorite street level heroes, specifically Luke Cage and Matt Murdock, are old as balls, but joining them in their oldness, but still looking like a grizzled youngish Clint Eastwood. We got Captain America, who's been depowered, and this is a situation where light spoilers for the issue, because I think it helps sell the issue, because I do think this is like a must read.
It's a setup. They're like, Captain Rogers is in effect Tin Man if nobody came along after like 2030 and just gave me like all his done super juice done leaked out.
Yeah.
And he needs to kind of
Well,
figure it
it's fucked
out.
up. Like, one thing that I loved about it was they like straight up say they done took his serum. which I do not want to know how that worked. Like they juice them?
One of Charlie's current favorite phrases.
Oh God.
The juice is not worth it this squeeze.
It is kind of my
And as I'm reading, I'm like, oh shit, did Charlie get it from this? Because they squeeze.
They done squeeze.
Captain Rogers.
I want that 0 issue of them just like fucking every pore.
Just Red Skull's like, exactly. I didn't know this is all it took. Get out.
Just squirting out of his eyeball.
You know, okay, can I just interject really quickly? Because
is it about how dope
Charlie
Matt Murdock still looks? You get all the old tang.
I mean, old Matt Murdock, yeah, but not old Daredevil, because I didn't see one. Bunch of retired son of bitches, but at least he didn't move down to Florida.
How fucking sad
I'll
would
give
that
him
be,
that.
though? Like you see his like spine and his like tighties.
Yeah.
Like not every
he's actually using his cane as a cane. Like, oh shit, now he's old and blind.
Just like whip it around to smack a bad guy in the head. Fuck you, cane man!
Like fucking connect two Billies into a big cane, and then the camera pans back. He's just like, using it to reach up to the top shelf. I gotta get my bounty. No. So this, I probably would not have caught up to this if I'm being totally honest. Probably till issue 2, issue 3, maybe. And at that point, so I'm like, yay, trade paperback I can get.
Just wait.
Pretty in a few weeks. But no, Charlie had the good grace to send me this digital. And as I'm reading it, it's funny because we made reference to how big of DC heads we are. I was getting all fucking Batman Returns vibe, like in terms
Batman
of
Returns.
Batman Returns.
The movie or
no,
Dark
the
Knight?
Dark Knight Returns. Excuse me. Thank you very much.
No, you didn't say anything wrong. I'm just confused easily.
So I was getting very much Dark Knight Returns vibe. It's almost as if, and I want to say this right away. I take no issue with this. But it was a little bit almost of a reskin, as far as how certain things were approached, and kind of like the Blues Brothers aspect. We're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission from God. Everybody had Chicago accents for some reason, but yeah, I was very much getting that Batman Returns, Dark Knight Returns rather.
I imagine the pitch probably was like Captain America's Dark Knight Returns.
Fine.
But what I love about
that been the elevator pitch, I'm like,
here's the money. Thank you, Chip.
I'm like, I fucking okayed stuff that was worse, far worse than that.
That's true. Check out any episode where I pitch anything. It tends to fall
every odd episode.
What I really loved about it was I think one of the magic tricks writers can pull now is when they do political commentary that isn't obvious or it isn't widely obtuse. Like Chip has some shit to say. He has something to say, and I don't necessarily think it's what you'd expect. Because this world sets up a Captain Rogers who, like, ran for office.
And lost.
And fucking lost big! Yeah. Like, and what I love is...
Did he really lose, though?
What I love is there's so much shit nowadays, and I'll name drop it, because I think they're both foul, if there might be some inequality to it. But, like, if you watch Fox or CNN report the same story, you get two completely different fucking stories. Yeah. Despite the context, like, we found a penny. Be like, those bastards found a penny. Like, it's so obvious, the imbalance.
Yeah.
What this comic managed to do in 22 fucking pages, John, they managed to be like, this fucking world has not only lost shine on heroes, because Incredibles did that incredibly well, pun I guess intended with the double incredible, but what they did was they were like, no, everybody's kind of like just over it. Like it's not even a vitriol that they have towards.
And there was no point to doing that either.
And what was cool
that would have really been like covered ground.
What's really cool is when they, and this I don't want to spoil, but the first issue does very clearly make out who at least one of the villains are.
You're talking about the space aliens?
The space aliens from space. Imagine if issue 2 is just all space aliens.
But there's dinosaurs, though?
They do a great job of introducing this fucking character, and you wind up hating him. Thank you. You wind up hating him, like, much sooner than the reveal, which I love.
Well, I don't know how much you're protecting, so I'll tread lightly here.
Well,
what happened was this, guys.
You can talk about other characters in the book that lean evil.
So obviously,
just don't give away the big bad.
obviously Well, that all depends.
But you can mention anyone in the book because Luke Cage is in the book, Matt Murdock's in the book.
I read. I know who's in
Dylan Stark. Fucking.
So the point I was trying to make so they make you're not going to tell a Captain America story without eventually, on some level, Red Skull showing up.
Yeah.
And the way that it was approached, they took like a mass media approach, and it was kind of like one of these docu-series. You know how Ancient Aliens are like, imagine if, and then they go on to tell. That's the only disclaimer in effect. And then they go on to tell you an hour-long story, and then you walk away thinking, "Oh shit, an alien crashed in my backyard, and he was wearing Levi's, and all these crazy presumptions." And they do that. They cast Red Skull. Ultimately, this is what launches Cap back into action. They basically say, no, Red Skull was actually just we got misinformation, fake news. He was actually a hero. He was actually working to protect us against the Nazis. And Cap is like sitting there just watching Channel 13. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? What the hell? And he got triggered read about.
What was amazing?
He threw down his Geritol. He pulled up his pants up to his nipples.
That would be awesome. His superhero pants right to his nips. John, what's up, Aaron, over on Facebook? We are live, so feel free to hop into the comments.
And thanks for joining us. This is not our normal day.
This is our normal setup, though.
It's our normal.
And my beard looks great today.
It does. Very nice. Very nice. Very petable.
I filled it in today.
Let me give it a little.
What I loved about that entire couple of pages, and for those of you just joining, we're talking about Avengers Twilight. Takes place later in the universe. What I loved about it was that scene.
All vampire.
That scene, and very sparkly. That scene was so transformative for me. I heard that scene way more than the picture in my mind's eye. It was just so set up like what we've seen in docuseries that even by the rest of the issue, when it's halfway through, so 10 pages, fucking played out like a stage play to me. I was so engrossed and enamored, and I do think that the last reveal of the issue was very much whatever for me, because the world that they've built.
He said the thing.
It was fucking awesome. But what I love is that he said the thing to his wife in the most nonchalant way, because this Steve Rogers has, ironically, the American dream. He has a house. He got his wife. He has a failed political run.
Anybody in their late 20s, how did he do that? Not how did he
that's really bullshit.
World War II. You're oh yeah, super soldier. Fine. Wait, his credit score is what?
Yeah.
Come on.
Absolutely fucking. For me, I want way more of shit like this from Marvel and DC in general.
Well, the fact that they put some stank on heroes that we know. They're like, oh, these heroes, they saved the day countless times, but they're going to get together, which that was not a pairing. I'm not sure how much you want to give of that. There's a pairing. They end up having Tony Stark and Janet Van Dyne have a kid. And you're like, oh, that must be the most heroic. Nope, this kid is a fucking douchebag.
Sick tattoos though.
Yeah, great, super duper. The Iron Man-esque armored fucking
straight up soldiers.
Gestapo fucking running through the streets. I'm like, oh shit, that's not good.
The one thing I didn't totally know, Christian, what's cooking,
brother? Christian done come out from the shadows.
Gotta wonder if his ears were burning because he is.
They must have been, yeah.
He's like, what? Yeah, what's going on?
We were wondering where you were at, Christian. You go on the ground like a goddamn mole.
When he's in writing mode, he disappears. But what I loved about even that setup is though I love when these comics that show you a future, I hope they never really dive too much into that, because I'm that's a story I want to know. I want to know it enough, but it's so irrelevant to where we are in the timeline. It's let me just fucking think about it. Let me just have
funny
it
that you mentioned that, because the only times that they've really done it to my experience, it's been kind of shitty. So for
really?
example, yeah. So there was
you just hit me with the most.
I'm like,
shut the fuck up. Yeah.
No, I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, so what happened was, not at all. So like immediately I wanted to connect that point to Kingdom Come, and then they felt like, oh, we got more to say. You didn't have more to say. You only had this to say, and that was great. Just leave well enough alone.
You would be an excellent producer that way, where you're like, you don't have.
I'm like, yeah. I don't think you do have a great.
I want to re-edit this movie. No, you don't, like, George.
Oh, I got a director's cut. Your regular cut just came out, and that sucked. So I can't imagine that this longer version.
I don't think you get our model.
Oh,
if people liked it, I'd let you do another.
Oh my
so
God!
I can put it back in theaters in black and white.
Do you remember Robin 3000? I want to say it was.
Yes, I do remember Robin 3000.
Robin 3000.
Before you go to. I liked Robin 3000 because I sucked.
Of course you do.
Okay, yeah.
But
I preface it because I sucked.
So this was another one of those kind of like apocalyptical situations.
Future is questionable.
If you haven't read it by now, you might not have. If we sell 1 or 2 issues,
if anyone picks up a Robin 3000 because of this podcast,
I get a
DC
cut.
should give us a couple bucks.
But yeah, the short version of it is they're like on. There are 3 Batman generations out now in the future, and there's a straight up alien invasion, and Batman's like, I'm the only one that can save the day. Really, Batman? Really, bro? E.T. is flying around out there, and the other guy. But regardless, per typical, no, he's got a whole new voice now. I was like, yo, my man, was there no footage? Was there no audio?
Yeah, why do you sound like Steamboat Willie now that it's legal?
Because the filters and stuff like that in the buildings have become very hard to get on. But the Robin was in effect like kind of like a replacement, and then so that story plays out, and I'll leave it to you guys to read if you choose to do so. But at no point with like. Yeah, but that missing time. No! Leave that missing hypothetical time alone. It is totally irrelevant to this story that you're playing now. And I can only hope that they're able to contain themselves. That they can fight the desire to like just try to squeeze a few more shekels out of the printed page. And then just say, look, focus on what you're doing now. Tell this story. And then move on with your life. Well, I know Zdarsky has many hundreds of more stories that he wants to tell, so I don't think he'll be necessarily tempted.
So here's my thing. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Probably not.
But right. History has taught us that we probably are thinking alike. In general, what's your feeling on apocalypse stories? And just like hold your thoughts for 1 sec. Nice. For the last time, that girl's name was Michelle.
That one I was down with her.
2 L's, which we know is problematic. Just that made me happy, and I'm like, I'm referencing a thing.
I get it.
Only you know about.
Oh, guys, in about a year or so, that is gonna go over. It's
good. You guys will have been laughing and having so much fun. With apocalyptic stories, a lot of times the only fun exists in the chaos of the apocalypse. Like, I don't need a Mad Max prequel where like, hey, we don't got a lot of gas left. Like, I don't need that shit ever.
Bro, I live that narrative every Thursday at about 11. I'm like, ooh, that light don't come on. I better go get paid.
So I always felt a little bit betrayed when something like Dark Knight Returns, when like, we got another one. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Specifically with apocalyptic shit, I imagine at the end of this...
15 minutes to Doomsday. No.
Thank you.
No, we're good.
5 minutes was fine. 5 minutes was good. 5 to the midnight. Makes me go midnight to 5, am I right? That was a cock joke. That didn't land.
Oh, gosh.
Forward. If we can just get Christian on the show. So for me, I think one of the things that I love about a writer as talented as Chip is, I hope he stays talented, but thus far, he's always been very, very good at kind of like, this is the story. Bye! And I hope that this falls into that, because what this series does for me is it gives me hope that we could get, and I didn't dislike the cartoon What If series, the second season. I just liked it less. And I know there's a 3rd season coming up, and maybe it'll change my mind, but I almost think the future of that What If series is like, what if they adapted this? What if they did 5 animated episodes to adapt it? That's awesome. Because like this Kingdom Come from DC, these
but then
stories
you're more talking
more.
about you're talking about like you're talking about like Batman Twilight, a what if story. Like now they're different like little chapters and subdivisions, and God knows DC proper is already having an issue like, well, this is Elseworlds. This is also Elseworlds, but a different Elseworlds
plus. But I think what you could do though is you could cheat with something like this, and you could do Elseworlds still. But I think Christian brings up an incredible good point. A lot of these, and what's funny is I forget what the name of the show was, but it was on FX, where they had an apocalypse show with fucking Harry Potter, where it was a comedy. It was like they were all like cannibal mutants. And it was just like, and they still had to go to work. I didn't watch it. All I ever saw was like the advertisement. So maybe that explains why they don't kind of move too far away.
They can make like Employees in Hell, like a buddy comedy.
That's true.
They can probably do it with anything. I mean, challenge accepted.
What I love,
let's do it.
What I love most about comics like this, right, is the fact that it allows people. So our buddy Christian, who was on the show last week, great episode. If you guys haven't heard it or seen it yet, he's one of the hosts of the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash podcast.
He's a keeper of the keys.
Keeper of the keys. Good friend of the show. Good friend of our lives. He doesn't necessarily have 20 years of reading comic books under his belt. What's amazing about something like Avengers... He might,
but he's done it in like 5 years.
That's true. At the behest of his co-host. But what's awesome about something like Avengers Twilight, I feel like, and this is really my main thought on the topic, this is a perfect book to give someone who maybe only knows about Captain America from the movies. This is a great book you can hand to someone and be like, hey man, here's the soul of a character in like a fresh packaging, a fresh costume, and I hate, you know how much I fucking loathe when they change a costume for the sake of changing it. In this case, motherfucker would need a new costume. Yeah, it's fucking 40 years.
He needs compression socks.
Keep the blood pressure going. You know. I couldn't help but read this comic and think about people like Christian, who maybe has only a handful of Captain America under his belt. This is a great story, and a lot of times these apocalyptic stories, these side stories, these quasi what ifs, what they do best is they say, when they're really good, it's, hey, what's the soul of this character? Because Spider-Man has a couple panels in this, Daredevil has a couple panels, Luke Cage has a couple panels, and when you get to see the soul of a character, I think you really get something very, very special.
Also, it's forcing the writer, and when you have a writer like Chip Zdarsky handling the material, and you say, hey, in 2 pages, I need the essence of Daredevil. He's like, all right, and he's able to do so. And to that point, when you also tell somebody, you've got 5 issues to tell the story, and out. You know, that's like trying to get the girl back, before curfew. Not that I have that issue anymore.
I did not.
But you're trying to get her back before curfew. And look, like those type of limitations or walls can be sometimes the greatest thing for the creative process, because there's no messing around, there's no fluff, there's no wasted panels. And if anybody out there has not read the script to a comic that was ultimately produced, I'm telling you now, that is one of the most nerd clean fun that you can fucking have. Get the script, get the actual comic that it turned into, and see the 1-for-1 of it all, because it gives you a lot more insight into the process. It lets you ultimately read these books in a much, much different way. Like, you get to see kind of how the sausage is made, for like a really, really gross analogy.
Fake sausage. It could be.
Nah, that's even that can
beyond
be
sausage.
Even that could be ugly a little bit.
That's what they call mine. It's beyond sausage. No,
they're like,
how dare you?
Yeah, so
how dare you?
Kind of cute. Yeah, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed not just the story, that they're clearly leading us into. But the way that it was done, also the art of it all. Chip Zdarsky's very, very lucky at this point in the game. I mean, he had been for many, many years at this point, but because his reputation precedes him, both in his personal, like his private projects, and the ones for the big banner studio, he gets paired up with just fantastic art, art providers.
I like that. I like that as a title.
It's one of those things where, yeah, granted the story is his, but on the same token, he had to translate to them through the written word. Look, this is what I want people to see when they're leafing through their comic, and just out of it's unique, the look of it all. It's very specific to the feeling that he has kind of written us into, that corner that he's written us into, and I'm also just very hopeful that stays consistent. One of the things that I hate, not so much in limited like beginning and end type runs, limited series and whatnot, but just during runs, they'll switch over an artist, and then like all of a sudden the book just feels totally different.
Yeah.
Even if it's written by the same cat.
It's one of the most difficult hurdles for me to get over.
Yeah.
Especially when it goes from a style I love to maybe a style I don't.
For sure.
What even more wild, because of the Marvel method and the speed that they were doing comics for a while, less of an issue now. But 5-6 years ago, it would be like one page would be a different artist.
Charlie,
I don't want to blow my brains out.
Sometimes reading late 90s Image comics, you're just minding your own business.
Spectacular.
And all of a sudden...
File not found.
We all know Jim Lee. Not as many people know Jay Lee. And Jay Lee is like... If the artist that was writing those prior pages fell asleep and had a late night enchilada, between pages 13 and 14, and then just started dream sleeping in the midst of his nightmare, you're like, oh my God, we got to get this guy some help right now. It's clearly there's some chemical dependence going on.
Terrible.
Now Jay Lee stuff, when it's just Jay Lee, outstanding, because it's consistent, keeps you
no
in that
enchilada.
vibe. No
enchilada free. No enchilada.
Beyond beef enchilada. He's like, my tum feels fine.
Oh my god, that's awesome. The in our Facebook chat, Christian dropping something really great. He had a copy of the Quick Stops comic script from the immensely talented Kevin Smith. And
the fonts,
the font alone. He had a copy of that script, and it allowed him to more easily kind of format his ideas.
100%.
He also asked an awesome question. He wanted to know, to wrap up the segment, he wanted to know some other great comic book issues. Now, I'm going to start here, Christian. Definitely do yourself a favor. Go ahead and pick this up. Pick up Avengers Twilight. I think what it's going to do, it's going to allow you to have your pulse on this story.
I would be shocked if Mike Zapsik hasn't pulled this for one of his.
If it's not on a top 5, it's only because the show wasn't up that week. Like this,
but
this reeks of a top 5.
That'll allow him a deeper well to pull from.
That's true.
So I'm pretty confident that Mike will isolate this, but this is well worth committing to the series, because then it's limited.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about catching up. You don't have to worry about a lifetime contract.
I do think, though, that beyond everyone picking this up, and if you do not have a local comic book shop, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash does ship worldwide.
Red Bank, New Jersey, you can go there.
They could be your local shop, especially this weekend. They have amazing shit going on, including Clerks open all night. By the time you're listening to this, that should happen. Sorry about it. But our boy Christian wanted to know what Captain America book, so I want you guys in the comment section, let us know some of your favorite comic book stories. But Christian, I did pull up a couple of my favorites. I'm not sure.
Can I just jump in really quickly?
Please do.
Because this is where a lot of times we overlap. For me personally, Christian, again, as a kid that grew up in the 80s, I felt that the DC characters were heroic, and that a lot of the Marvel characters were kind of secondary. Even now, where you line up, you're like, oh, well, this guy is equal to this girl, this chick, or whatever the case might be. And I had always thought of them as kind of like B-listers, as if they were all just one company.
Yeah.
And this is when I was kind of reading everything as a kid.
Back when books were a nickel.
for Captain America was like almost, for lack of a better term, and to really show my age, corny. It was kind of like corny because even then he had an old-fashioned sensibility, and this is coming from a Superman fan. However,
it's ironic. The only guy with higher pants than Cap is Clark.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, what's up, you hippie? What are you talking about, bro? When the Ultimate came out, for me that was a totally different Steve Rogers experience for me. Especially, I mean, a lot of those early Ultimate books that came out from Marvel.
The Avengers Ultimate books were amazing. And then they got shitty, so people tend to not remember how fucking good those early issues were.
That's always very much a threat. You let something go on, languish, you let it go on too long.
Turn it into a whole fucking its own thing.
And to be honest, a lot of the Marvel cinematic versions that we're getting, pick and choose. It was almost like an unintentional mixing of timelines and what have you.
It was Mark Miller's.
Correcto. I mean, like, look, Mark Miller's another one of those creators.
He could be
writing about Twinkie the Kid, and I'm like, oh shit! Oh, look what he did with Twinkie the Kid. He done wrapped him up with his lasso. Yeah, certain creators are just, they're bulletproof.
Yeah, and what's great now is Ultimates are back, and it kind of seems like it's gonna suck again. Last season we had a segment dedicated to it.
As long as Thor is not wearing his hair in a ponytail, I'm fine.
I got bad news.
Oh no.
However, if you want a slightly deeper cut, I believe this was in the last volume because comics are very annoying with their numbering system. But Captain America 21 from, I believe, not this current volume but the volume prior, you can kind of tell because he's wearing the circle. He's wearing like the navy outfit with the white star, like he's a G.I. Joe. Issue 21, he loses his powers.
That's his shield uniform. Right?
Correct. Well, it's the one he adopted after he lost his fucking powers. So in Captain America 21, he loses
eagle powers.
And then I think it's the next like 10 issues is a Captain America without the super soldier serum and him kind of finding his place. Is he still going to lead the Avengers? Like, what the fuck does he do now? He's just kind of a decrepit old man who's kind of jacked. Is absolutely one of my fucking favorites. I was trying to look up who wrote it.
He must be on the same steroids as Sylvester Stallone because he is.
Let's fucking hope.
Jack Diesel, even though he's a normie.
Well, is he? I feel like he might be.
A couple of pages.
We would know he was Captain America. I was about to paint that world.
Like, come on, Cap. Piss in the cup. Come on, bro.
Mark Waid in 2011 did the miniseries for Captain America, Man at a Time. It retells his origin story, which is fucking amazing because anytime you get a tweak and it's good. Because the problem, again, with comic book characters, especially comic book characters like Cap, they're around so long that some shit just stops making sense.
Wait, hold on a second. One of the coolest origin stories, keeping it in Marvel. Anyone who disagrees just either can't read or they're haters. Magneto's origin story is one of the deepest, most traumatic, effective type. Like, well, he never had a chance. A poor guy. He definitely would have gotten out. On probation the first time that he was sent to the Supermax or whatever. But we're getting to the point now. It's 2024. I'm sorry. Your parents, your parents went to the fucking. To the Nazi death camps. How old are you? 152?
Yeah.
So there are going to be coming up.
They should freeze Magneto at some point.
Yeah,
he was frozen for 10 years.
Well, I mean, it's everybody. Like the entire Krakoa is just like under a sheet of ice.
They just rents.
We're gonna come back
to Freeze from DC. They'd be like, "He got him. He won."
So I keep on questioning, the fucking Freeze over up north, and you're gonna be in big trouble.
I wish comic book companies would have big enough balls to like, it's just 2011 always. Go fuck yourselves. Like, we're not moving our time.
I mean, Bart Simpson hasn't aged in like 40 years.
That's because he doesn't drink milk.
That's true.
The last pitch I have.
You though.
I just started.
Oat milk.
Oat milk is delicious.
Son.
I got a bone to pick with my mother. Keeping oat milk out of my life.
They didn't invent it.
That shit just came out?
I guess
is oat milk new?
This kid's
poison.
By about...
Is it regular milk?
By about episode 10, he's going to be pouring shit on his cereal. He's going to be like taking milk baths like Cleopatra.
I already did that.
Just what?
We need more milk, by the way. So much milk I went through.
But you don't have a tub. Oh, no. Oh, my bathroom forever unclean.
So Ed Brubaker has a legendary run, but that everyone fucking knows about.
Yeah.
After him, I had to look this up too.
I'm
After
still
him
answering.
was Rick Remender came in with John Romita Jr., so people still knew it. And what they did that I fucking love was they took Captain America after this epic, very Captain America run, and they were like, what the fuck do we do?
Made him a dolphin.
Do you want to... I wish. They were like, do you want to fight monsters in Dimension Z? Okay, and it's fucking Gucci. It's so good. It is fucking awesome.
I can't sound off.
Captain America v. Dimensional Monsters is always fucking good. And
Captain America in space.
Holy shit! Wait a second.
No.
Let's call Chip. John. The fact remains: Captain America, one of the greatest characters in all of comic bookdom. While Iron Man and the rest of the fucking Avengers were B, C, and D listers, Captain America has been a fucking A-lister, like the fucking symbol occasionally that's on his head from Jump Street since he knocked out his first Nazi.
It's gotta be A. It's gotta be. I'm not interested in that eagle nonsense.
That sucks bad. It sucks bad. You get real big Captain America breasticles with that fucking eagle bullshit. But if you, for some foolish reason, do not think that it's worth the $4 to peep
Take
out...
a flyer.
Yeah, exactly. I like that phrasing. Like, we should do that more often. Avengers Twilight is absolutely worth the read. And if you don't think so, then much like that fucking chinless wonder, that toy-making, space-traveling son of a gun, George Lucas, you are a goddamn liar. What? Because Han shot first. Mine is so tall.
Salute.
Ah! Ah! Carolina Reaper vodka betrayed me.
It's called Reaper vodka. What did you think, bro?
My name gamer
what
tag.
Did you think?
Why does it taste like the devil's in me?
I mean, probably because you just wet his head. Because he was already in you, and you just made him mad.
Fair enough.
You just made him mad. You know who else you don't want to make mad nowadays?
Oh my god, what a good transition.
Yet another
clutched.
Yet another older gentleman that's just jacked diesel up one side and down the other, though he does have certain lovelies at home waiting for him. Sly Stallone, boy. Sly Stallone, just a cinematic hero of mine. I love his story. Like, his real life story plays out like a comic book, waiting to happen.
Tremendous documentary on Netflix.
Tremendous documentary. His series, which is depicting his life at home with his wife and his 3 lovely daughters.
Which, by the way,
Yeah, he did.
That's worth a whooping.
He did all right.
Imagine being like, I'm here to pick up.
Just gonna
looking down at him.
Jazzy Jeff you right the frick out the door.
Imagine a 5'2" Sly Stallone Jazzy Jeffing you out the door.
Yeah. I'll be there to watch it. I'm gonna get him, Sly. Sorry, Charlie.
I didn't hear no bell.
So
that's from the movie.
I know. We all know that. So, he's had anyone who wasn't paying attention. This is very much, and I'm going to connect this to the comics in one very simple way. The creation of the source, the beginning, Superman. Without Superman, none of this other shit would be possible, and that's a fact. You don't have to love the big blue Boy Scout, but you do have to acknowledge, right?
And you should.
And you should, quite frankly, but you don't have to. But you do have to acknowledge where it started. So the creator of Superman, 2 Jewish teenagers, immigrants or children of immigrants, Joe Siegel and Joe Shuster, collectively known as Siegel and Schuster, they come up with this character, and it's off to the races. Superman was an almost immediate, it's like a flash hit. It was ridiculous. It was all over the place. At the time, all they had been doing at the corner drugstore and whatnot, is they were putting out almost magazine proportion, what we would call comic books. The reason why they were called comic books is because they would take and reprint newspaper strips, the funnies in the papers, and they would reprint those strips in book format, so that rather than, you know, freebies getting away and your parents just giving you the paper, hey dummy, look at this until it's time to go to school, they could squeeze a dime out of these kids and in effect be getting money for old stuff. But they still had to pay for reprinting other people's content. They were from the newspapers, they were from nationals, they were from all over. Again, the reason why we refer to them as the funnies, right? So now these companies say, hey, you know what? These are selling like hotcakes. I love hotcakes. Selling like hotcakes. We can cut that down by simply coming up with our own content and packaging it that same way. So they started floating around. They started looking for, well, what's gonna work, right? And the pulps were doing stuff that was far more adult, so they really couldn't mess with what the pulps are doing, the Shadow and Doc Savage and blah blah blah. So these kids, being fans of the genre, cobble together something that looks a hell of a lot not like the Superman that we know. The original Superman was a bad guy, was a Nazi vehicle of dominance. Naturally, you're going to make something scary. What's more scary to Jewish teenagers in the late 30s was like a Nazi, a Nazi fucking mass genocide guy. He was bald. He looked a lot like Lex Luthor, funny enough. Then they rejiggered it a little bit, made him into a bad guy, threw on the boots and the tights and the cape. And
a good guy, rather.
And here, yeah, that too. And now here we have the Superman that we know and love. Fantastic. Again, everything that's comic book related now, we would not have if not for these cheering. The one thing that none of us had, though, were the fucking rights to Superman.
Yeah.
Because Detective Comics said, oh, gee, thanks a lot, kid. See you around. Here's a couple of shekels. You especially know what that means. And they just kind of set them on their merry way. Not really. Like, they afforded them the luxury of being able to write for their own fucking creation, which was the biggest thing since sliced bread. And those were invented in approximately the same time. They're like, we'll let you write for them for a while. And as an eventuality, then it came to the point where, no, you can't. Other people are doing your own shit better. The Big Red Cheese came along and fucking the original Captain Marvel was outselling Superman, which is crazy to think of nowadays. So Siegel and Schuster were just largely put out on their ass for a very, very long time. They were not really getting credit. They certainly weren't getting their cut, so to speak. And it was a lifelong battle. I forget who it was, but one of the two didn't even live long enough to finally see those credits. And nowadays, when you see anything that's Superman, it's always created by Siegel and Schuster. They get their proper due and a few dollars, a few cents on the dollar rather, when any of that property is raking in, which it still does. That being said, that story is eerily similar to Mr. Sylvester Stallone.
And not to cut you off, but no. Christian brings up a good point. When we look to the past, Christian again on Facebook says when he heard the Siegel and Schuster story for the first time, he literally wept. The fact that the comic book industry could be so closed-minded,
Christian, they threw them away.
And
they threw them away.
And you would think that because Superman is created when?
20s? I think late 30s. So
late 30s.
I think his original appearance was 38.
So I don't mean
to. Batman was 39.
I don't mean to imply you need something teed up, but one would hope that come the fucking 70s, when lessons are still being learned, because in the 70s Siegel and Schuster still aren't being fucking credited for their creation, but in the 70s that's when Sly Stallone pulled a Bronx Tale and bet on himself. He wrote this fucking script that a bunch of people wanted. Not everyone, but a shit ton of people wanted, right? And the one thing he wouldn't do was just give it up completely.
Right.
It was so important to him Motherfucker had to give his dog away because he couldn't afford to feed him, right? Said, I have to be in this thing I created. From the inception of fucking Rocky.
He wrote it because he needed something to be in. He wasn't getting cast the way that he felt he should be. So he thought, you know what? I'm just gonna have to write it myself and put it out there.
Old school DIY.
This is after Lords of Flatbush. This is after, the pizza delivery guy. This is after certain appearances. But even having the forethought to insist upon less money, but the ability to be in it, just like our boy Chaz Commentary, who will be coming to see you in just a few short hours. There's one thing that even a brilliant move like Sly had in that time that he neglected to do. He neglected to earmark a piece of the property in perpetuity for himself. So while he became world famous, took home an Oscar for writing, became this national action figure come to life for decades and continues to do so. 100% all of that came from his Rocky Rocky decisions. The fact that he did not take a little piece for himself means that to this day, and it's a continuing sore spot for him and the family, that he actually doesn't own any of Rocky. And when I say any of Rocky, I don't mean him and his bouffant hairdo and his Italian stallion trunks. He probably has those at home. He doesn't own any of the rights to the property, to the characters even. So that means Rocky, Apollo, Drago, fucking what was B.A. Baracus was A-Team. Clubber Lang. He doesn't actually own any of that stuff. So
when you don't even own Spider Rico, there's something fucked with the scenario.
And he's working for free just to get a couple of meals out of the joint. So they decided, hey, you know what? Especially with Creed's success, and I enjoyed very much the first two Creed flicks. My jury's still a little bit out. Charlie was a fan of Creed 3, and I understand that you gotta change it up sometimes. But I likes what I like.
Yeah.
But the
you're
truth
not
of the matter,
wrong to love it.
It's Irwin Winkler that's raking in the donuts with that stuff, and it's a little bit heartbreaking. Oh, what's up, Andrew? What's up, brother? You should be doing a show right about now, sir? It would make me happy if you're watching this from the dressing room. From
the Queens.
But yeah, so now it's only Winkler and company that are raking it in. So at that time, especially with the Creed stuff was really coming to light, they announced a Drago spin-off. And that's really where we're at, because Sly Stallone had plenty to say, and he straight up shitted on Dolph Lundgren. He's like, I thought we were friends. I threw this to you.
A couple years ago, they did like an announcement that Sly wasn't even hipped to.
Mm-hmm. He saw it like we saw. He's like, a Drago.
Yeah, we almost got him on the show to be like, hey, yo, that's kind of bullshit. No, we did. I'm good friends with him.
Hey, yo, that was bullshit. So here's the first mention of the Drago project. Now, as a huge fan of the franchise in general, I was all for him. Like, yay!
And Creed 2, which you
He-Man the Punisher. Creed, right? It's gonna be another. It's gonna be fucking Drago.
I think anyone who would have been confused by the choice of like, we're doing a Drago spinoff, Creed 2, if nothing else, because some people think the first Creed is great and then everything, Creed 2 and 3, like, don't hold up, which is fine. You're allowed to think whatever you want. Sure. I think one thing that is undeniable is seeing more of the Creed story. That was an instance where, like, the Creed story plays out in Rocky 4, and then when they return to the well, like, they had a shit more to talk about with character.
There was a lot
of interesting shit you were able to do with now with Drago and Son, which I think added a whole fucking...
Matter of fact, how does this grab you? When Dolph first read the script, and we'll backtrack to the creation of it, but when Dolph first saw the script, to go get his son out of Russia and stuff, he was in Kiev. And I think that's ultimately what we saw. But they started leaning on the war.
Yeah.
That's happening like literally as we speak. And so this is something that's timely. This is something that has cultural significance. This is something where they have an actual story.
There's meat on that bone.
This isn't like, oh, you come out, you lose the first fight, you train, have a montage, you win the second fight. Like that's formulatic. That can ultimately be tedious and tiresome, especially when you're doing it with other.
Don't talk about my Clubber Lang 2 script like that.
I'm gonna have to.
So hear me out. He had to pawn all of his jewelry.
So what happened?
And he just needed to fight.
He had to sell his feather earrings. Doesn't get very much for him, shockingly. But yeah, like so the way that he was talking about it, Christian, we'll see you, brother. The way that he was talking about it got me hyped up. So I was heartbroken to hear that this factor of like, well, this is screwing over Sly. So it was one of those situations where I had to decide, fuck, do I support my guy who doesn't know I exist from Adam? Or do I get to imbibe this content that likely I'll probably like a lot?
Huge shout out though to He-Man himself, Dolph Lundgren, who like once he heard that Sly was pissed, he was like, I didn't fucking know you didn't get the memo.
He set the straight.
Good friend.
And also as well as like
Queen's
friend, because he came and scooped him up and
it's like you put me in all the Expendables.
Absolutely.
And I was the bad guy in the first one.
So they made it a point to be like, well, that's squashed, no issue with Dolph Lundgren. So that made me happy. So in effect, that gave me the fucking green light to go ahead and be super duper excited, because I am. The Drago story, the Drago family story, is just a very, very interesting one to me. As a big fight fan, I'm a big fan of the game. The sweet science, I love that shit, and it is not an exclusively American sport. This is something that all over the world they're throwing down, and it's the same kind of like the same script applies. These are not largely like people of great wealth or great opportunity that go into the fight game. They fight because they have to fight. It's fight or nothing.
It's fight or die. And what's cool about it is it's now it's the kind of third version that can feel completely fresh and new, because with the Rocky series, and again, it's varying degrees, but like I could defend Rocky 1 through 6 easily. Like even 5 has become so much.
It doesn't require a defense if you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Creed, when it came out, was great because they did two things. One, that movie obviously is not about an Italian boxer, about a black boxer, so there's a difference there. Also, though, the Creed trilogy.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
You're like, that's different.
Yeah, the Creed trilogy, though, I think another really fucking interesting thing that they were able to do is like mostly about a rich kid. It's about a rich kid who like still has this thing in his heart, and I think your frustration with the Creed trilogy is that he kind of keeps relearning the same lesson. It's like, fuck Adonis, can you pay attention to your last adventure?
Kind of a dummy.
He's a little bit of a dummy, which I almost feel like you need a Creed 4 to be like, he's punchy now.
Yeah, but
he's
here's
just
the
a
thing,
fucking idiot.
and this is where life is funny, as far as I'm concerned. The reason why now this project has kind of been like dusted off, or at the very least been confirmed to still be moving forward. Like production is still moving ahead. The pace might have changed differently, but it's because of what of what happened to Creed 3's villain.
Yeah,
Jonathan Majors. This has had the end result. I'm gonna pick my word carefully. The end result of that trial, kind of like hashed out in a certain way where a lot of people just they don't want to have anything to do with that name on their projects. So whatever's coming next for Creed, I think there has been a redirect.
Correct.
And the Drago project has maybe been pushed to the forefront. Still, again, not involving the creator, Sylvester Stallone. I want to be very, very clear.
Yeah.
But it's just a very unfortunate thing. I can only hope that much like Siegel and Schuster had to wait to almost the very last minute. Well, half and half. I hope that as an eventuality that his family, at the very least, can monetize this and salvage the.
One thing that drives me insane, I didn't mean to cut you off, I apologize, but one thing that drives me insane is I think a lot of people misunderstand what the situation is. This isn't a situation where a rich guy wants more money. Rocky is his legacy, right?
Sure.
Rocky and Rambo are
Rocky
pieces,
even more though.
But I was going to say, because that Rambo's an adaptation, right? That's something. But I would argue that Sly holds it's so much a piece of his soul because he owns more of Rambo than he does of Rocky. And that doesn't make any fucking sense, because one, he birthed Rocky. And to say that Rocky as not only a phenomenal flick, again, let's say you're one of the people who only want to count the first Rocky, you're missing out. But even if that's the case, John, that shit revitalized an entire genre of film. It became the progenitor of so many films to follow. And to say that his daughters don't get to have as part of their legacy Rocky is fucking bullshit. And I'm sensitive to it. You know what it's
like, Charlie?
Go ahead.
It's as if someone builds a house with their own hands. And then the fucking suits.
Fuck the suits.
The fucking suits come. They're like, hey, remember when I loaned you money for that roof?
Yeah.
So the house is actually mine.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be generous. You live in it as long as you want. Live in it till the day you fucking die. But on that day, taking those keys, they can move their shit out the house, because it's actually my house. It's not. It's not. But I don't want to focus exclusively on that. The unfortunate. The truth of the matter is that, like, even with all of this bullshit baggage that's going on, I still do think we are going to get something of great value with the Drago series. There's so much meat on that bone. There's so much story to tell. There's so much still that can be fucking, shaken out of the bottom of the cup. And Dolph is awesome. It's very unfortunate. Like I said, Dolph was our first cinematic Punisher. Dolph was our first cinematic He-Man. Dolph was our first cinematic Red Scorpion. And I realize that many of you have not seen that. I used to watch, I'm like, yo, this is what happens after fucking 4, bro. Watch, pay attention. It's gonna be great. I think it's just gonna be great. This modern era of cinematic and small screen also. These fight flicks, they're just fucking outstanding.
I think this might be one of those things where we're a little bit different. In as much as I love when a talented person gets their flowers, and I still think people not shit on Dolph. I don't think it's that, because again,
who the fuck has the balls to shit on Dolph? Well, a giant Swede Viking. Good luck.
Touche. But I do think he deserves his Rocky Balboa. He deserves his Stallone in Creed. Like, there are people who still
he got it a little bit.
No, yeah, totally. But like, give him 2 hours.
That was actually probably my favorite part of Creed 3.
Oh, when his boy
we're gonna dust this off, and they gave him
there's so many
redemption moment.
Fuck yeah, man! And that is, and you know me, man. I don't love redemption arcs. So when one works, I'm first in line.
Charlie hates redemption arcs so bad
because I feel like I'm irredeemable.
When Bob Marley's redemption song comes on, he's like, nope, just turns that shit right off. Like, yeah, bro, this is supposed to be relaxing and fucking make you irate, man. Charlie's like, no, fuck them dreadlocks, son.
Fuck them dreadlocks, indeed. My final thought, then I'll kick it to you because this is your segment. Anytime we can get over problematic situations, like, it's a fucking bummer Sly's getting fucked, but like, as long as he's cool with Dolph and Dolph making so am I. So I'm like very happy that the runway is clear for because it would have been one of those things that I would have felt like a salad in the theater. Yeah, I would have probably still been there, but I'd have been in a Rocky shirt.
The guilt, the guilt is there, but the truth of the matter is we didn't create this shitty situation. I'm very as much a victim as Sly.
I do feel victimized though, because even if I love the movie, and I probably will, there will be a percentage taken off for me being like, I can't believe they fucked my boy. Like, you know how I love shit. It's like, it feels like Sly's an uncle who just doesn't answer his calls. The truth is,
Charlie loves being irritated by shit. So he's like, yeah, great movie, but don't forget, thanks a lot. Fucking
that'll be part of my review without question.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, no, I mean, I think I made my point well enough. I'm just very much looking forward to the characters rather, father and son situation. Yeah, I think that's fucking awesome. I think it makes for fodder for just great storytelling. It goes without saying that the Sly situation sucks ass. I hope every day that it can be the solution is had, but I think the only thing we really can do is continue to talk about it.
Correct.
Right? It shouldn't be on
no like dirty secret. But I will tell you this.
No under the rug bullshit.
You do not fucking kill Lundgren in this flick. You sons of bitches always trying to fucking kill.
Yeah.
Our slightly redeemed villain heroes.
Wasn't Aquaman enough?
They were gonna kill a baby. John!
Charlie!
Know what I love?
Yelling at me. Yelling at me?
No, I love those fucking fake podcast commercials.
No, you don't.
Where it's like, hey, John, did you know you paid for 7 Netflixes? I hate them so much. However,
who's paying for 7 Netflixes?
What I really do love is
how stupid can you be?
You just don't. I mean, there's some rich people who like don't recognize that they're missing $100.
If you're paying for 7 Netflixes, you deserve to be paying more for your Netflix than me.
Their Netflix eye.
Because collectively, we only have one account. Well, we're smart.
We have a condo now, so now it's less problematic. We are a household.
Oh, buddy, I have multiple condoms.
Fuck. Well, the good news is, John, unlike those shitty fake pods, because they're not real fucking shows, we're not going to sell it for any random brand. The truth is, we may joke, but fucking I'm not going to ever sit here and tell you something's good when it blows. Luckily for us, we once again are brought to you by one of our absolute favorite bands, that of course is Bad Mary. You heard them during the intro. You're going to hear and see their beautiful faces during the end. If you're wondering where else you can catch their act, you can follow them at Bad Mary Band across all social media platforms. You can support them over on patreon.com/BadMaryBand. You can stay up to date at badmary.com for merch and upcoming performances. But John, sincerely, my favorite part is no matter what music streaming service you have, congrats. You can listen to their entire discography basically in real time. And you do, because I blast that shit every Sunday morning.
He does. He's a blaster, folks. Where we dropping with Sergeant Finesse. You can find him once again streaming on both Kick and Facebook.com for how much longer? Who the hell knows? He is indeed a part-timer now. Still a hell of a lot of fun to watch. Co-streams, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. We're doing our very best to get him completely inebriated next week. Just for a couple of shekels, you can watch a very, very funny, drunk veteran. Also, as well as Joker's stream over on Twitch. He's a fantastic fucking Fortnite gamer, streamer. A lot of fun to watch him play. A lot of fun to talk to him. Bullshit. He knows his comic book stuff. He's a hell of a cosplayer. A lot of times he'll go ahead and intermingle those shits on stream for your enjoyment. So don't be a sucker. Check them both out today.
That's right. Also, check out our good friends at Live from the Secret Stash, the Jay and Silent Bob podcast, coming to you live from one of the greatest comic book stores in the whole universe every Wednesday, usually.
And that's an official title.
Right before us. John, do me a favor.
What?
Hit that button for me.
Bong.
So informally dressed, John.
Well, I guess today is Casual Friday, so
oh,
let it go.
That meant to be. Meant to be. Mr. Executive, sir, I can't help but notice I'm on this elevator with you.
Yeah.
Mind if I write up? I got some good ideas this beautiful Friday.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, the beautiful part is snowing like a summer bitch.
It is. It's kind of beautiful. Before we get to the pitch, I did the lamest thing at the condo. You got home late from rehearsal. I was like, look how pretty it is outside your window. I have just become a housewife. At least I haven't made you meal. You made me breakfast the other day, so you're kind of a housewife too. John,
I bring home the bacon and I fry it up in the kitchen.
What do you think about old cop movies where the protagonist is just never moves his jaw and somehow manages to emote about his goddamn lawn, kids, etc.?
I like him. I like him a lot.
That's good news.
We have a lot in common.
I think it's time that we bring back motherfucking Dirty Harry, baby.
I didn't know that was his middle name.
I think the time is right, and the good news is, Mr. Producer Show, this is the part of the show where I try to pitch you a movie that I want you to make from our beautiful fictional studio. Move aside, Clint Eastwood, because I have my close personal friend willing to throw off his symbiote. John, I've signed Tom Hardy.
Yo, my man, you get a lot of work from this podcast.
My Dirty Harry flick. John, first and mostly, Dirty Harry, it's the story of a cop who is fucking occasionally dirty. He might beat the shit out of a suspect without reading him the Miranda rights. He may move around rules. And what I think in this climate, I think we have a really cool opportunity to lean into what that first Dirty Harry movie is. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to delete from your brain all the fucking sequels. Because those Dirty Harry sequels are fucking atrocious. The first Dirty Harry film, though, is actually really great. And in part of my research, I rewatched the flick. I'm not sure the last time you peeped out Dirty Harry. It's totally fucking rewatchable. It kind of set the stage for so many cop films. And not necessarily the ones you're automatically thinking of. Dirty Harry opens up and probably allegedly is problematic because the first scene he shoots for black people. What the movie doesn't hide, though, is that it's not racist. They just happen to be criminals in that scene. There's another scene where he shoots 4 white criminals in the exact same fucking style. So if you flip around those scenes, I feel like some of this new 2024, did you know it's problematic because it's racist? It's not racist.
Well, they already have figured out the formula, intermingle gang.
Exactly.
We can kill anybody we want if we've got everybody represented.
So all the colors of Benetton are in my movie as the criminals.
I do want to say, though, whatever that fucking delivery that you were struggling with to start the show.
Yeah.
You nailed it just now, boy.
Did I really?
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell if you're mocking me.
I'm not.
The playback is...
You went full Russian manager right there.
With that being said, we're going to keep all the stuff that's baked into the film already.
Giant gun?
He has a giant gun. We're bringing back the classic. Okay. All the fucking...
Polyester suit?
No. Very polyester suit.
Oh!
Our movie we're going to take place in the 80s, right? Because the 80s are so hot right now.
Oh,
what I also want to do, though, is I do want to keep some staples. There's a couple other officers who get kind of caught up in it. One's Hispanic. There's lady cops. He has a black doctor friend. We're going to keep all that. Now, people are going to say we're fucking woke, but rewatch Dirty Harry. It's in the fucking movie already. What else in the movie is one of the most enigmatic, fucking scary villains of all time. They pretty much did a combo of Charles Manson and the Zodiac Killer, and we're bringing it back. And we're going to specifically go after Jim Carrey, who's partially retired, but he does those Sonic movies. We're going to let Tom Hardy craft his version of Dirty Harry.
Kill Sonic?
We're going to kill Sonic, that's right. We're going to let Jim Carrey craft his version of this fucking killer. A couple of the things we're going to change, though, we're going to very, very specifically make it very clear that this fucking killer is a huge pile of shit. So we're making him mostly a children killer.
Unlike most fucking killers.
We also, in the second act, we're going to have him caught. But it's going to be after Dirty Harry fucking puts the boots to him. And because of that, Dirty Harry is going to be put on suspension. So when we open up our film, Tom Hardy has been doing this shit probably a little bit too long. He specifically is a detective, right? And he specifically goes after murderers. So he is grizzled to the point of fucking reckless. So he is going too far. And we're going to have a lot of that in this fucking flick. A lot of people are going to be like, for fuck's sakes, man. Relax, Harry. The reason that
Your name is Harry.
The reason we want that shit to be so on the nose is because we are going to have the same ending that's not in the book. It's only in the first film. The way we end up, slight spoiler if you somehow haven't seen Dirty Harry, he throws his fucking badge away. And it's because if you watch the film the way I watched it, the whole point is he's fucking realizing. Some people think it's because he realizes that he's gone too far and will be fired anyway. It's not worth fighting for the badge. Our version of Dirty Harry has realized by the end of this film he's gone too fucking far. So when he throws away his badge, it's not heroic like in Point Break when it's fucking like, yeah, fuck this shit. The bureaucracy is horseshit. Dirty Harry's gonna eventually remove himself from the police force because he realizes he is not right for this. He's more fucking vigilante than cop. And we're gonna build a movie that tells this tale while fully embracing some shit I'll get into in 1 second. Ultimately, what we're telling is that like this fucking cop is gonna self-police himself at the end. He has to capture this guy because this guy is the baddest motherfucker ever. Charles Manson meets the Zodiac Killer, twice as fucking awful. He is a baby killer, bro. We're gonna make sure that the fucking audience hisses at this fucking guy who uses even in the 80s, he's gonna use the news to be like, look what the cops did to me, because we're gonna have fucking Dirty Harry whoop his ass in the second act. When he captures him the first time, motherfucker gets out, and that's what leads Dirty Harry to this film takes place across years, not weeks like the actual film. So when Dirty Harry finds out this motherfucker's out, that's the last straw that kind of gets broke. Now imagine fucking Tom Hardy unleashed on this fucking film set. We're gonna pull him back when we need to because we want the beats from the script, but I want like a fucking off the chain. I want Tom Hardy's performance. We're gonna start at John Barenthal as the Punisher levels of fucking crazy and only go from there. Also, what I want to do with this flick, because I want to have some fucking fun. There's a lot of unfun shit happening. Baby murder, not fun. A cop beating the shit out of a criminal, not fun. Where we are gonna have all of our fun, John, is we're doing a fucking throwback to 80s excess, right? I want this to be the loudest, most fucking, almost the first Expendables, where they had like a lot of fun with the violence. We're gonna have fucking fun with the violence. We're not going John Wick, gun fu, as they called it. It's gonna be more brutal, classic gun. So, but he's gonna fucking throw hands like he's in that boxing movie.
What in the 80s though would you point to? Because those are modern movies. So like 80s level violence.
The 80s level of like not giving a fuck. Like who is the mustachioed guy that did 50 movies where he kept fighting his back?
Charlie Bronson.
It's like I wanted to have a Charlie Bronson feel of like I'm not removing the Clint Eastwood one-liners. Tell me, punk, you feeling love, but I'm letting Tom Hardy kind of dictate how that's delivered. Right. I don't want it to be corny. I want it to have those elements of occasional fun because the actual material is so fucking dense. We're following the beats.
I can get behind that. I'm gonna request.
Hit me.
A couple of things. It can't be a baby killer because the
kid killer
to kill a baby.
I don't mean literal baby.
What do you mean?
12.
Okay.
Preteen. He's a preteen killer. First movie, he was like a rapist murderer. We can still go rapist murderer. Rape feels heavy.
It's heavy. It's going to be heavy.
I want heavy because I kind of want Jim to have something to chew into with his half-retired ass.
So I want a pedophile kid killer.
Fuck me.
So
Freddy Krueger. So do you think that's less than baby killer?
No, well, I'm like a baby. What does he do? Kick in like preschool doors and like just start killing kids?
Yeah,
no,
we can
like
have him be a child molester.
A pedophile kid killer. For somebody's like, well, far less chance of getting caught. This is how you do it, right? Which I think would trigger more so our Dirty Harry.
Love it.
To cross a line. But what you were talking about, like having him be over the top, and in the origin, the original rather, they have him killing this group and that group and blah blah blah. Yeah, absolutely. I want to see him out in the field catching the bad guys, but doing so over the top. But this is a cat that still does have held principles.
Well,
so you also have a scene with him where he crosses the line and he beats the shit out of gun in the mouth, trigger pulled, has to be pulled off of another detective by other detectives, like, yo, what are you doing? You know, thin blue line, all of that jazz.
Yeah.
And like this guy, so even his brothers and sisters, but in the 80s more so brothers in the force were like, this guy's like he's like a mad dog. So to the point where like he ends up having to be one of these guys that works very alone.
Love it.
When you're very alone, you start making things make sense to yourself because there's nobody else to bounce off of. But he's also very good at doing what he does in that violent, take no gruff type of approach.
So one scene I wanted, and I'm not sure if this is too on the nose as a potential producer, because I love money. I also had cast John Leguizamo as a cop who like crosses a line for not a fucking baby killer, for something that Dirty Harry is like, well, you shouldn't fucking take money from.
Yeah.
So that's who we can have our Dirty Harry beat the shit out of Legs for crossing a fucking line that's just a different line.
Sure, yeah, it could be.
Because I do think we need to speak to the cop of it all, where there is some problematic shit. But we have family that are cops. Like, we love fucking cops, and there's plenty of good ones. So I want this to still be a story about a bad cop, but he's bad for the good reason, which is why I think the ending could be so...
He's a likable...
I think it could be so fucking powerful at the end, when he's like, fuck this shit. I'm the wrong fit for this. And, like, if we want to do sequels, we're not going to pull a Dirty Harry sequel. He's like, I'm back for...
I would also interject. I want his over the top only for the reason that this has become, again, in the 80s, that was the birth of like type of like the uber attention grabbing headlines, and this is the type of coverage that a city cop like him is not particularly familiar with or used to. So he does his thing, he detects some shit, he throws his cat a beating, and he's dragging in a fucking red puddle. And he's like, yeah, this is the guy that did it. And because of his success, maybe it turns out he never read him as Miranda.
Oh, I love that.
He started fucking throwing the guy a beating.
He was too busy dropping like a, hey, you like that pulling in your nose.
And then also, as well as, he's jelly preserves. So they don't even try the guy.
Oh,
like,
fuck.
He just gets right the fuck out.
Oh, I love that. Because that helps my timetable.
And then Dirty Harry is that's the true driving force to be like, not gonna need this.
Yeah.
Because on top of, maybe there's a little bit of window where you can let your Jim Carrey heal up a little bit to become a formidable thing. Maybe on top of, not just has he let this killer that in his heart, heart and head, he knows this is the guy, that lets him go and skate. They put Dirty Harry in jail for like something.
I fucking love that.
Maybe he gets locked up for a year, and that whole time he's like, just like planning his fucking, the second I get out of this joint.
So
I'm gonna go get that.
So I'm gonna revise it in real time. Here's my pitch for the sequel. Right? Harry gets out of jail. When he was in jail, though, he got the stories of other people who were fucking let out, who like got shitty sentences. So like this guy definitely fucking killed his wife, but he only got 2 years. So he has the second movie is a jail-based list. And now we have full vigilante Dirty Harry.
He's got work to do.
We bring back Johnny Legs, who like is now on the straight and narrow, who's going after fucking Harry, who like beats some common sense into him. And then what you could play off is, so now remember he has his black doctor friend who's ripped from the original movie. So he has like these people. And then with the sequel,
he has resources.
With the sequel, we have this thing where like, well, Johnny Legs was already doing the wrong shit for the wrong reasons. Now he's given the opportunity to like, in our third act, does he let fucking Harry finish the job? I'm basically making a Marvelous Punisher. With fucking Tom Hardy getting to act his balls off.
It would be nice for Tom Hardy to actually have some good comic book material.
But also, like
comic book material.
When was the last time we had a flick like this where we can, again, you talk about giving the medicine with the fucking candy. I butchered that fucking saying. I do not even remember close to what it is. I'm just giving a candy bar after an aspirin.
He's like, oh, you broke your leg? Here's a Hershey bar.
Exactly right. I just think this has the potential for, like, if we wanted to fucking do 3 or 4 flicks a couple years apart, like, it's not quite John Wick. It's certainly not quite Expendables.
No, he's not a superhero. He's just intensity personified, getting the job done. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go ahead and approve.
Not even on the top floor yet.
Approve. Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
It felt like we were. Jesus Christ.
That's because you're fucking so excited with your checkbook.
That's a
son.
good point. That's a legitimately good point. So yeah, I'm definitely going
to hit the ding manually.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna fucking approve that. No doubt about it.
That was good timing. That was good time. I appreciate your money.
You're welcome.
I don't actually have Tom Hardy on yet. Do you know him? Do you have?
I'll give him a call.
I am happy to sell you my motion pictures.
Shakes hands like that.
What'd I do?
It's like you were pinning me 1, 2, 3.
Well, I was trying to.
Christ.
John.
Charlie.
All I have to fucking say is, what a fucking Friday night delight.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go out there and play in the snow. Fuck
yes, John. There's only one way that we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast. I'm going to tell you should follow us on all social media, US Comics HQ. You should tell your friends. If you have a great idea, if you have a movie pitch, please, you can hit us up on Instagram, you can hit us up on Facebook, give us all those ideas. But, John, you are the man to show them the way.
I'm dying to.
Because you're going to show them those steps. Because first, you got to turn the power on. Then you gotta turn the volume up, tune Bad Mary, and open up the window wide and scream out to the night sky, see you, my space guy. We are